The SDG related to our title is SDG 2, which is Zero Hunger. The goals of this SDG are to end hunger, achieve food security and improve nutrition, and also to promote sustainable agriculture. This SDG 2 has 8 targets and 14 indicators. Among these 8 targets, there are 2 targets related to our study, which are Target 2.3 and Target 2.6. Therefore, in our study, we developed 3 research questions, which are: first, what are the issues and challenges encountered by agri-food sector in Malaysia that led to food security threat? Second, what are the initiatives taken by Malaysian government to combat the issues of food security? And the third one, how government initiatives implemented in agri-food sector impacts Malaysia socio-economic performance. Rising population growth rate. In Malaysia, the population appeared to increase linearly between 1955 to 2019 and could continue to rise further until 2050. According to DOSM, in 2020, the population is estimated to be around 32.7 million with 0.4% growth rate year-long. In the context of rising population, there is no country excluded, but in Malaysia, the rising population seems to be imbalanced with the country's food production. This is because Malaysia have not yet achieved self-sufficient in supplying food. Evidently, the nation remains to import at least 15% of the total food, such as rice and dairy products. There is lack of technologies applied in agri-food sector. This is because high budget is required to purchase the facilities. Some of the agriculture community prefer to maintain conventional methods in their sector. Also, the rate of technology transfer in Malaysia is very low, which is between 10% to 12% only.
Hi, my name is Amirul and I will continue presenting about the issues. The next issue is lack of youth participation in agriculture sector. This issue is quite worrying because it is related with human capital. In 2018, only 1.4% of university graduates with an agricultural background were working in this field compared to 1% in 2017. In 2020, 44% of 31.8 million Malaysians are young people, but only 15% are involved in the agricultural sector. A research by Loganathan in 2013 indicates that there are internal factors such as lack of experience and low of interest in agriculture, and external factors such as lack of info from authorities and unstable commodity price that made youth less participate in this sector. The last issue is issue of low living standards. A study by Rashid and Danuri in 2013 shows that in 3 areas which are Muda Agricultural Development Authority MADA, Kemumbu Agricultural Development Authority KADA and Projek Barat Laut Selangor PBLS that cultivate paddy, only in KADA, paddy income can cover their expenses, and another 2 sectors need second job to cover their expenses. It also indicates a huge margin between the 3 sectors and national total income and expenditure. That means their living standards are really low.
So, in an effort to strengthen the rice industry, the government has allocated a price support of RM248.10 per ton to increase the income of these paddy farmers. For the input subsidy, RM200 chemical input coupon per hectare was also given to these farmers along with fertilizers incentive to encourage their proper usage according to MADI and also to reduce the overall cost of production. Next, a guaranteed minimum price of RM1,200 per ton was also set by the government to ensure that the paddy farmers receive reasonable minimum income while also reducing the poverty incidences among these farmers. Moving on, several government policies was also introduced, such as the National Agricultural Policy 123 from 1984 to 2010, followed by the National Agrofood Policy from 2011 to 2020. So these policies were introduced generally to increase the rice quality and productivity, to increase efficiency, mechanization and automation, and also to strengthen the rice stockpile management. Lastly, Malaysia was also involved in the ASEAN Emergency Rice Reserves, and this rice reserve is only to be used during crisis or when facing extreme suffering and natural or man-made disaster that cannot be covered by the national reserves or normal trade.
Hi, I am Husnia and I represent East Coast Economic Region ECER project. What is all about? It is an economic development-based region in Peninsular Malaysia. It covers manufacturing, tourism, oil and gas, human capital and many more clusters. There are two major reasons in choosing this region. First, they have huge potential in improving crop production, and second, the income level for this region is quite low and show high poverty rate. Agriculture cluster include in one of major economic driven target that focus on crop-based farming, fisheries and livestock to secure our food security. However, ECER also face some challenges such as climate change, support from institutions and marketing distribution. To cope with this problem, government has concluded some instruments such as Green Revolution Innovation, Institutional Restructuring and Strategic Food Industry Development Agenda. From this picture, these are developed regions during ECER. Due to its success, ECER 2.0 has been launched for further achievement in providing benefit to citizens.
My name is Nur Atika and now I will present the literature review for the third research question. One of the impacts of government initiative in agro-food sector towards Malaysia's socio-economic performance is it can boost the agropreneurship in the community. According to Editor 2020, Agroban, which is under Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry, have offered various kind of funding schemes for the people that involved in agro-food business and for anyone that interested in this sector. MADA, which is one of the agencies under the government, also help many people in the agro-food or agriculture business through their program, Farmers Entrepreneur Development Program. The second impact is we can increase the income for the country and its people. In 2018, the agro-food sector contribute 3.2% to Malaysia's GDP. Agro-food smallholders are also categorized under the SMEs. In 2016, SMEs managed to contribute about 36.6% of GDP. In addition, Azam Tani project under Ministry of Agriculture and Agro-based Business and MARDI has helped 54% of their participants to move out from poverty level, while 35% of them progressing well and 8% of them move out slowly from hardcore poverty level.
So the impacts of government initiative in agro-food sector towards Malaysia's socio-economic performance is participation of young generation. In Malaysia, agriculture sector was placed at third rank in government priority in terms of economic. Urban farming is also one of the government initiatives taken in Malaysia to secure food availability for the nation by 2020. Some of public university has promoting the urban agriculture, and the involvement of youth in this modern agriculture shows that they are enthusiastic to participate in this sector. Government also has provided supports and training program for the young agri-entrepreneur to help them grow. For example, Malaysia Young Agropreneur Program was introduced in 2013. Youth skill, ideas and potential is very needed in this sector. So by initiative taken by the government, we can give young generation more opportunities for them to explore and participate in this sector while enhancing their skills and knowledge so that they can contribute back to help the growth of this sector.
So why exactly is our study important? So firstly, our study aims to place greater emphasis on the importance of food security in Malaysia. So in a way, we aim to educate more people regarding the current state of the food security in our country. Next, to encourage higher participation in the labour force of the agri-food sector. So by presenting the current efforts put by the government in maintaining good food security, hopefully more people will become more familiar regarding the subject and will pursue the careers related to it. And lastly, to highlight the potentials of agri-food sector to be on par with other leading economic sectors, such as the manufacturing sector.
Singapore is number 1 and Malaysia is number 40 in the global food security ranking, and here we are. We have the land, we have the resources, we have the weather, we have the climate. I mean, most of all, we have the land. And Singapore doesn't, and they don't have a thriving agriculture sector. And you know, we've ended up in a situation. So it comes back to the fact that we have been ignoring our agriculture sector for the longest time, and that's the core reason why we are in this predicament right now.
And I didn't realize that we imported so much onions and
Yes.
garlic. Did that surprise you that that's what we're importing when it's like
Yes,
used in
it
almost
did.
every household?
Yes, it did. And you would think that, oh, okay, this is probably coming from like somewhere nearby your house or something like that, but it's not. It's actually being imported from like China or India or things like that. So that's
So
why.
from that video, they have been discussing about a story that Supriya wrote about food security, which Tun Daim, the former finance minister, was interviewed in that video. They have been saying that Malaysia by history is an agricultural country, but now according to the global food security ranking, Malaysia was at rank 40. And Supriya stated that Tun Daim mentioned we have been ignoring our agricultural sector for a long time. We only focus on the commodity and the agribusiness part of it rather than the agri-food part of it. And it is a shocking news to know when Supriya mentioned that we import most of our food, including the basic ingredient that every household needs, such as garlic and onions. So the initiative that we mentioned in that video is we need to empower the farmers by giving them more control over their land and the produce. This is because the farmers rely more on the middlemen and they did not know the real market in the agricultural sector. Also, a concerted effort between Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education need to be done. Government needs to take the issues of food security seriously if Malaysia is to grow economically. We know that government plays a big role in maintaining this food security in our country, although a lot of initiative being taken to maintain the food security. We need to focus more on that so that we can sustain it for the future generation, as the population and the demand of food will always increase. And lastly, food is a universal needs and human rights, and the government need to ensure that all rakyat have the access to the sufficient foods and resources.